today to find out more about penguin fingerprinting and how scientists are tracking penguins across the world. Scientists here at London Zoo have studied penguin DNA from the ends of penguins' feathers. They found penguins have similarities in their DNA patterns within their colonies. There are different penguin colonies all across the world. By using this method, we can see how far a penguin has travelled from its original home. In harsh terrain, like the Antarctic, where it's difficult to physically follow animals, this technique will be very useful, especially as it will determine how animals like penguins are affected by climate change. A team from London Zoo are currently on an expedition in the Antarctic. They are improving the technique by collecting samples of DNA to plot how penguins are moving across the Southern Ocean. As well as tracking penguins, we also need to be able to identify them individually. Zookeeper Gillian Jones explains.
They also have lots of black spots on their tummies, and each penguin actually has an individual unique pattern of spots on their tummy, which makes it really useful for us. It helps us to identify each penguin pretty easily.
But penguins living in colonies in the wild are much harder to identify. Michael Taylor and his team have developed a more sophisticated technique to spot penguins in their natural environment.
Spotpenguin.com is the website for the University of Bristol, which illustrates this animal recognition technology. The researchers to produce a non-invasive animal recognition technology. So rather than tag animals, but with penguins, they put this steel band on the flipper which chafes the feathers. They came up with this idea to use a camera technology to do it through a camera lens.
Being able to identify penguins, whatever the technique, will enable us to know how penguins are responding to climate change. This is vital for conservation efforts. If we can understand how penguin populations are changing, we can make sure protected areas are in the right places in 100 years' time. The research team at London Zoo are really passionate about protecting penguins from climate change. They even have an exhibit to show how climate change is affecting these remarkable animals. We need to get the world's carbon emissions back down to the safe level of 350 parts per million. The zoo is supporting this cause as it is the only way to protect many endangered species like penguins.
We've got a penguin swimming along in the water, and a predator comes along up above, a nice big shark or a seal, looking out for their lunch. and they look down, the black back of the penguin is going to blend in really nicely with the dark sea below, and it's going to be really difficult to see him. And similarly, if the predators were to come along underneath and look up, the penguin's white tummy is going to blend in with the bright sky above. So again, they can hide from predators in the water. It's really clever. So that's why penguins are black and white. It's a clever kind of camouflage called counter shading. Now, Gabriel and Kelly have been feeding our penguins their lunch today. They've been feeding them a small kind of fish called capelin. Out in the wild, they're going to eat other small kinds of fish, things like anchovy and sardine and pilchard. They don't actually have teeth to chew on their food like we do, but what they do have is lots of downward-facing spikes on the roof of their mouth and also on their tongue, and that means when the fish slides down, it can't make its way back out again. Now, they've actually been feeding our penguins in 2 different ways this afternoon. Firstly, they throw a lot of the fish into the water, and that encourages the penguins to dive for their food, just like